Okay, students, on this video, the purpose of the video is to explain building elevations and how to create them in AutoCAD. If you have the plan ready to go, I would suggest working off of the roof framing plan. Okay, I'm going to suggest working off the roof framing plan. There's a reason why um, the roof framing plan works is because there's a lot of different things in the. And thank you to this student for letting me borrow his roof framing plan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So credits to Cristobal. But nonetheless, the roof framing plan is what I'm going to work with for our building elevations. All right. So on the roof framing plan, I'm going to open the roof framing plan, save as, and I'm going to call it building elevations. And the building elevations, I'm going to hit save and use this file now to start working with my building elevations. Okay. Now I don't know if I have that layer in here already. If I use my template, I should have that layer created already. But nonetheless, I do need object lines because I am going to work with object lines, and I don't see that here because it wasn't part of the roof framing necessarily. So we do need to create those layers. So let me go ahead and do that now. So again, just make sure you create the layers based on your layer structure that has been given to you. The layers that we're going to be using mostly is going to be object lines and hatch. And then of course we will have some dimensions, but that layer should be in here already because we have dimensions on this drawing. So we shouldn't have to create that layer, but it's already there for our dimensions. So I'm going to be using the object lines. I'm going to hit that current and hit check. Okay. So as far as and I'm going to start with the front elevation. As far as the front elevation, what we're going to see, it's whatever exists on the front of the house. We're going to see the two windows, we're going to see the door, the roof, and a couple of dimensions. Notice it's not a whole lot of dimensions, just really two general dimensions, the overall width of the house and the height. And I'll explain what the PL stands for here in a little bit, but nonetheless, that's what I'm going to be drawing from this AutoCAD drawing here. Okay. So as far as the object lines, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply use my projection method. The width of the house, and the windows and doors are going to be simply projected to the front of the house. So from here, what I can do is I can just draw myself a line from the outside edge of the window. What do I have that green line? Oh, that's part of the grid. So it's actually, I'm sorry, the outside edge of the house. I'm going to take that line and project it straight down. I'm going to draw a generic line straight across to represent the finished floor, and then another line from the edge of the house right in here, which is the wall, down to here, and then trim right there. And then as far as the height of the house to this hidden line, that's what's called the plate line, Plate. Plate line is the overall height of the windows of the entire house. So it's a 10-foot plate line. So this is the finished floor of the house. I'm going to offset it 10 feet up for the plate line, and that's really where the house ends at that point. And then from there, I can start projecting the location of the windows. So the windows are simply going to come from here down this way, and then from here, from the edge of the window down this way. And notice again, it's all being done by projection. Same thing with the door opening coming down to here, and the other window that we have in the front bedroom right over here, which is the edge of the window. Coming down here, of course, so I drew that line, not needed really. And then from this edge right down to here. Okay. So then the other question comes is what's the height of the window? Okay. What's the height of the door? Well, we know that already. If you refer back to our floor plan, we have a 3068 as the front window. It's a front door 3068. So as far as the door opening, what is the height of the door? So remember in the floor plan, we have a 3068 door. 30 is the width of the window of the door. So if I measure the width of the door opening from there to there, it's, this one's not, oops, I snapped it for the wrong place. So good catch there. There we go. So we should have a 3-foot wide door opening. Okay. So that is pretty much the opening of the door, 30, and then 68. So really, this is the only place you're going to see the height of the door. We don't really see the height of the door on the electrical or HVAC plan or plumbing, none of that stuff. You're really going to see it only on this front building elevation. So the 68 is where you're going to then offset the 6-foot 8-inch door opening. So from here up this way, and then that ends up being your door opening here and right here, and then trim this guy back. That is your door opening. We'll talk about the design of the door here in a little bit. And then what about the window? Okay, so the window we have, of course, the overall size of the window, 4050. So it's 4 feet in width. So if I measure the window as far as the width of the window, it's 4 feet. But then where is the 5 foot measured? Obviously, it's not going to be from the floor. I don't think you'd want to have a window down here on the floor. That'd be a little weird. So then where is the window actually located? So you wouldn't have the window there. So then where is the window actually located? Okay. For that, we have to refer back now to our wall section. On the wall section, we had a note on the wall section that indicated the height of the window, and it says window unit at 6 feet 10 inches high from the finished floor. So the reference of that note right in here is the height of the window, which is actually from the finished floor right in here up to the top, the bottom of the header or the top of the window. That needs to be your 6 feet 10 inches. From that 6 foot 10 inches down this way is the size of the window. Okay, which is why we had this to begin with on the wall section, because some of them are 3 foot windows, some of them are 5 foot windows. It just really depends. The only thing that is fixed is a 6 foot 10 height. Then what changes is actually the sill, because some of them are bigger and smaller windows. For example, this one here, going back to the AutoCAD drawing, it's 6 feet 10 inches, offset 6 feet 10 inches is from the finished floor to the top of the window. And then going back to my floor plan, it is a 4050. So remember, we have a 3030, 2020 windows. So it just depends. So in this case, it's going to be a 4050. So I'm going to offset from the top for 5 feet. Remember, the 4 feet is the width, the 5 feet is the height of the window. And that is the window opening for this house in particular. Okay. And then gotta erase all these other extra lines that are left over. That's the location of the window. Same thing over here, 6 foot 10 inches. This way, and then offset 5 feet. A quick little note. Remember, notice that when I'm using the trim command, if I do this, there's a lot of leftover lines and all that stuff. So what I usually do in some cases when I use the trim command, I actually define my cutting edges first. So I click on cutting edges, and my cutting edges are going to be actually these 4 lines. That's my cutting edges, enter, and then that way, whenever I select, it's going to cut everything up to that cutting edge. So all these other lines get cut all the way. So I don't have any little lines left over. So that's a neat little trick to use on the trim command. Okay. So as far as the windows and doors, before I continue with the roof, the design of the front door. Okay. So if you notice on my building elevation, I have a door here that's got these little glass, and then we have the windows. What about the little frame? How wide is that going to be? Well, I'll tell you right now, that varies a lot. It depends on the door. It depends on what kind of a style of door. The window, the same thing. So you notice that part really isn't too critical. The thing that we do want to show is the opening of the door and the window. But as far as the little frame and the design of the door, that one isn't really as critical. It's just a little bit more of a show, just to make it look pretty or nice. Or at this point is when you can start doing a little bit more design work. Okay. And as far as the design work that I'm talking about, it's looking for designs on the on a website. So we can go to a website. A general home improvement website would work. It doesn't have to be, but we can go in here. We can just simply look for front doors. And when you go to front doors, you can get an idea of the different types of doors that exist. And you can look at fiberglass doors, steel doors, wood doors, classic doors, modern doors, and you're welcome to use any one of these designs. You're more than welcome to. Of course, you can see in real life, talking about the reality of these things, some of these doors can actually get pretty expensive, which is why it's so expensive to build houses, because of just simply the materials in some cases. So it just depends. You can look at these doors and you can kind of see the different costs and something like that. And there's some that I've seen that even go up to $5,000 or $6,000 in cost. But nonetheless, you can look at some of these and kind of pick a design that you want, and then you just simply draw it. Kind of like the one that I drew is something like this, just a simple door like this is what I drew for that building elevation in particular. So you can look at that if that's what you want. Get the idea of what that looks like, or I wish this would be done a lot faster. There we go. So you can look at one of these designs, or if you want something more modern, once again, it's just the look. That's all it is just the look. Okay. Maybe something oval like this, however you want. But the actual design, that's going to be up to you. So I do expect everybody to have something different based on your tastes. But again, you can kind of see that the cost of these windows and doors can get pretty pricey. Okay. Single hung door windows. Same thing as far as the look of them. There's different kinds of designs as far as the windows. Some are even the material. Some of them are vinyl. Some of them don't have a little design. Some of the frames you can see are a little bit thicker. Some of them are a little bit thinner. So it really just depends on the design of the windows. Once again, you can see the big cost of a $78 door to a $630. I'm sorry, window. $78 window to a $630 window. Some of them are even $1,000. So it just depends on the design that you want. If you want to put the little bars and all that stuff. Okay. Once again, not very critical. Just the look of it is what we want to accomplish to make it look like a window and a door. So you can just kind of go in here and research it and trying to find out what size of the frame. I'm gonna make mine a little 3-inch frame around the window. I'm sorry, around the door. I keep mixing up the two for some reason or another. And then that way I can draw a little frame around the door. The height of the doorknob is usually 42 inches from the finished floor. Go in here and draw in the height of the doorknob, and then you can draw yourself a circle. The doorknob, usually the diameter is about 2 inches or so for the doorknob, or maybe you wanted a handle of some sort. Once again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing that. The only thing we do need to draw, and I'm just going to draw a line across the midpoint from here to represent the window, to represent glass. So usually the representation of glass is accomplished by these little symbols that looks like a little like about a 45-degree angle. Just these little lines, like little dashes, to make it look like glass, and that's the universal representation of glass. So you put that where you want it to look like glass. So I'm going to change my layer over to the hatch layer, and then draw a line. Again, nothing really fancy about it. Usually about a 45-degree angle or so, like that, and you can offset it about maybe 2 inches or so. Offset 2 inches. Once again, it's just a little symbol, so we don't have to spend hours and hours drawing the little symbol. And you can just break the end of it here, make it a little bit longer, and maybe this one a little bit shorter, type of thing. But that's once again just the universal symbol for glass. So whenever you see something like that, that's representing, oh, this is a glass surface type of thing. Okay. So you're just drawing that little symbol to represent glass, and once you have one drawn, you can simply copy it to wherever you need it. Okay. Things like that. And like that, and then I'll probably draw a little frame. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to start drawing is the roof. So if I look at my roof, sorry, my building elevation, I need to draw the roof. Okay, the thing though is that I really don't know the height of the roof. I don't know how high the roof is, so I can just simply offset it and say, oh, it's going to be 14 feet, well, 8 inches or whatever. I don't know that height. Okay. So then I really can't do that from the front elevation. You actually have to work that off of the right or the left side elevation. And this is where orthographic projection comes into play. Okay. Um, so to get that roof, what I'm going to do is I need to work off of the other views. Okay. Which is why I like using the roof framing plan. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the right side view over here. No reason why I'm going to use the right side. I just rather use the right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply rotate the view. And I like to draw in my oriented, I guess, X and Y type of like this. So that from here, I can start drawing up the right side view. F8, come across here. Of course, I'm in the wrong layer. So I have to switch layers here in a little bit. Offset 10 feet. Offset 10 feet. And match properties. I can match this layer over to these guys. And then let me switch my layer back to object lines because I am working with object lines right now. And then trim. Okay, so from here, I rotated the view like I said. I just went to the right side view, so I rotated to the right side view and I simply just projected straight down. For the edge of the house, I drew a generic line to represent the finished floor, offset 10 feet. So then from here, what I'm going to do, and I can do the same thing with the windows and doors. I guess I can do that really quickly, because on this side, I think we're just going to have two windows if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to project those two windows straight down. Let me just make sure I'm snapping to the right points so I don't create the same error that I did a few minutes ago. Let's go the wall straight down. Offset 6 feet 10 inches. I'm going to finish floor to the top of the window, and then the Where is my floor plan? Did I close my floor plan? I guess I closed my floor plan. But if I'm not mistaken, I think those are 50 also. So offset 5 feet is this way. Should be 4050 in width and in height. There we go. Then trim. I select my cutting edges to be these right in here and then trim across. And then there are my two windows. Okay, I don't need this little note. I'm going to go ahead and just erase it. I really don't need it for this video, for this drawing. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing in my roof. So my roof, if you may remember, I need to draw the roof and then I need to kind of refer back to my wall section because I need to remind myself that I have a 4 and 12 roof pitch. And as far as the roof joist, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm using 2x6 2x6 common rafters. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw myself a line to represent my roof. And the edge of the roof is actually going to be from this edge here to this edge here, from the edge of the overhang. And then it's going to come up to the ridge board. So right in here, this is the ridge board, that long line right here. So I'm going to draw it from this point down this way. And then I'm going to draw my roof pitch. I'm going to draw my roof using the roof pitch. So it's a 4 and 12. So I'm going to draw myself a line from here this way of 4, enter. And then I come across at a 12, enter. And I really just need that one line, those two lines. So I can draw a line from this endpoint to this endpoint because that's now at a 4 and 12, which is why we use the two lines that I recommended. 12 inches, of course, is 1 foot. That's why it shows 1 foot. And then that's going to be my roof pitch. And then I just simply extend that line to those two. And there's my roof at that roof pitch. And I will tell you right now, this one I'm just going to draw it. It's up to the ridge. This one, don't tell anybody, is actually not at a true 4 and 12. The ridge is not in the middle. So this back part is not going to be at a true 4 and 12. But generally speaking, it'll be built correctly. As long as we have a 4 and 12 on the front, we should be okay. But I'll tell you right now, that is not a true 4 and 12. It's actually a different roof pitch. But nonetheless, as long as you go from the ridge board back to this endpoint, we'll be okay. I'm going to offset 6 inches because we do have a 6-inch roof rafter. I do know that it's the roof rafter is not exactly 6 inches, but once again, it's just a general representation of the roof. And then the edge of the roof comes up to this point. So I'm going to draw a line from this perpendicular. We're going to square it off. So that's the edge of the roof there. And then we trim it and create our roof. Okay. So I kind of need this here because, let me go perpendicular to here and then trim. I needed this roof drawn because what happens is that this is now the height of the roof, okay? Now I'm going to change layers. I'm going to go to a layer 0. And going back to orthographic projection, let me show you how we're going to draw that roof on the front by simply projecting the roof from the right side view. I'm going to draw myself a line in common from the finished floor to the finished floor. You may remember when we first started this class, I had you guys draw a 45-degree projection line. On this angle, I guess it's going to be 135. Tab 135. There we go. And then how are we going to draw that roof on the front view? Okay, so the way we're going to do that was projection. That's it. We just simply project the top of the roof down this way, the edge of the roof here across like this. And then notice that's what I need to show on my building elevation. On the building elevation, I need to show the edge of the roof. I need to show the top of the roof. I already have it drawn on the right side view. So using my method here, I can just simply project down to this view as long as I have a common reference point and a 45-degree line. And then I just simply project straight across. Yes, it is as simple as that. Using the same technique that we did in mechanical engineering, we're using the same technique here for architecture. So from this edge here is the roof framing. I'm sorry. From the roof framing is the edge of the overhang. And then we just there we go. Match properties to match this guy over to here. And that is our front roof. Okay. We are missing some elements to that front roof. I'm going to go ahead and erase these lines. I'm done with those. I'm going to leave this here right now because I'm going to need it for one more other thing. For the building elevation, the top plate line, we can just simply change that to be a hidden line. It just the plate line is just shown as a hidden line. So we just simply force it to be a hidden line. We're going to grab it here and change the line type over to hidden, just to represent the top, the plate line. But then the object line stays pretty much like that. Now we are missing that other little feature, this little gabled front end. So the way I'm going to do that is simply to project it also. What I'm going to do is the gabled front end, actually, it's going to look like this. If you look at the building elevation, this little part right in here. So I'm going to base everything off of this magical point right in there is how I'm going to portray this feature. And then from there, I'm going to project it to put this feature along the front. Okay. So once again, using the same technique, I'm going to go to my AutoCAD drawing and project this point right in here, straight down. That point is this one intersects right across here, and it comes up to the front right there. And that is our front little gabled end on the house properties. Okay. And then to get that front gabled end on the front, what I'm going to do is I'm going to project this point straight down, which is the top of the little gable, from here across this way. And then it's going to come from this one down this way. This point is pretty much the ridge of the gabled front end. And there it is. It's all projected. And then I just simply connect from this intersection to this intersection back to that intersection. Once again, you can kind of see how the projection method that we learned the first couple of weeks of school is being used even here now. You can use it in so many different types of situations. I'm going to use the break command here. And then just do my fillet radius 0. Oops. Break from here across this way. Fillet radius 0. And you can kind of see how all of this is turning out to be a nice front building elevation and match properties. Projection method. You can use it in so many different ways. Okay. All right. I'll let you guys do the rest on your own. The only other thing I'm going to do is show you how to do these hatch patterns. But we do need to show some hatch patterns to show our shingle roof composition. We don't have it here, but I kind of do want you guys to put in a little sand pattern that puts like little dots all over the place. That's to represent stucco. Okay. So those two hatch patterns, I want to go ahead and put on the house, and then just a little corner of the shingle roof composition. So those hatch patterns I'm going to ask to be done. Right in here, you're just going to simply draw a polyline from the little corner right in here nearest, and then it has a little bit of a width. Drawing has a little bit of a width, and I'm going to take that width off to 0, and then just draw a little polyline right in here. That, and then match properties. And then to draw in the little hatch pattern in here, I'm going to put in that hatch pattern, but let's go ahead and look for the brick one. I think either one of those would work. Well, actually, I take that back. Not that one. It's going to be more like this one, the little brick pattern, scale of 1, close, and that'll be a good representation of your shingles. Make sure you put that on the hatch layer. And then as far as the stucco pattern that I want you guys to use in this area here and here, I want you guys, well, of course, if you're on a brick house, it would look like that. But what I'm going to ask you is for stucco. And the pattern we usually use for stucco is called sand. There's an architectural sand pattern, if I'm not mistaken. There it is. Except not that dense of a pattern. Let's go with maybe a 5. Let's see. Let's see what scale looks good. We just need to show a couple of little dots in there. Maybe. A scale of 10 would actually work pretty nicely. For your hatch pattern to represent stucco. That we want that whole front, sides, and back to be all stucco. Just put it on the hatch layer. And that'll work. And then you can go ahead and label it. Don't copy this text back in here because you might have to come up with a different scale factor. Don't forget that we do need to work with our scale factors depending on the scale of your drawing. So you'll have to here and change that scale factor to whatever scale you're using, because I do want it on a B-size title block. And as far as the viewports, what I want you guys to do on the viewports is, I can erase these viewports. Oh, there it is. Right there. Okay. So to create the viewports, what's going to happen is I want the 4 viewports right in here. And create the front view, you're going to create the front view right in here. You're going to set that to a scale of your front view. And then to do the right side and left side, what you can do is you can create another viewport over here. And then within the viewport, let me zoom in here to this viewport. Within the viewport, you can actually just flip the viewport. And then once you flip the viewport within the UCS within the viewport, you can actually scale it and set it to scale. And then that's how you create your front, back, and left side views. The only other thing you're gonna have to do is whenever you start labeling on this viewport right in here, whenever you put a dimension on this one, you might have to change your UCS, because when you go in here to annotate dimensions, for example, so I'm going to try to show you that you do need to, in some case, put adjust your UCS, because sometimes these dimensions are going to come up backwards. Okay, so if you want it to be legible from the right side view, what you'll have to do is you'll have to set a UCS. You have to use your UCS command and set a new UCS based on this view. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply flip the X and Y um, orientation UCS, and then just simply change it to this current view. That way, it's now the Y is oriented up. So that way, when you put your dimensions, everything will come out the correct way. In some cases, you might have to the text will be upside down, especially on the backside view. Once you do this one, if you don't label everything correctly, or if you don't orient your UCS correctly, all your text will be upside down. So just be aware that you do have to adjust your UCS in some cases. That way, when you label it and put it on the viewport, everything will be oriented correctly. And don't forget to change the viewport also and put it on the correct layer. Another thing I've been seeing on a lot of them, that we do need to put it on the viewport layer. And don't forget to label each side with the label text. Okay? Good luck.